Hey Isaac, how you doing, man? Good to see you, man. Hope your weekend's going well. Where are you located? Are you here in the States? I think you had told me this before, but I just want to make sure. I don't know if you're in the States or you in Europe. Yeah, I also got your message regarding the okay UK, South of England. Okay, good stuff, man. Good deal. Yeah, your question regarding how to get through races when they're not going the way you really want. How to get through it. I mean, it was a great question. I mean, there's just times where in my recommendation, at least in the experiences I've had too, and I've had those types of races, you just got to get through it, man, and just use it more as a workout and just kind of chalk it up as a strong workout. That's it. I mean, it's like you mentioned in your question, you got through it. It wasn't quite where you wanted, but still you're going to get a nice solid physiological boost by doing that, by getting through it and doing it and using it as a workout. But sometimes, man, there's just races and workouts are not going to go the way you want, and I've certainly been there too. And yeah, just know that with consistent work, man, the next few races down the line, it might be a few more months, might be a couple years, but if you're consistent with what you're doing, man, you're gonna get to that peak flow state that you want, where you're not having really any issues in the race. But I think that question of, you know, how do you get through it? You know, you just mentally, you just got to stay in it and try your best, do the very best you can to get through it and get to the finish line. You know, but great question. I totally understand where you're coming from too. Hey, Edward, Yusuf, good to see you. Torin, Edward, let's see here. Edward, any negatives of moving all my runs on a much hillier terrain? My pace definitely is slower, but I noticed I'm getting more powerful. Yeah, I still think training over hillier terrain is a great plan of action. If you're not just training on flat roads all of the time, uh, I think it's definitely good to not only help you not only help your endurance, but build that stamina that you need in races and get to a point where once you do get to a flat course and all you've done is the majority of your training has been over hillier terrain, you're going to be dangerous, man. So yeah, I think that's a good approach. Just make sure that you're, again, paying attention to your recovery, because I mean, over hillier terrain, that it does um, definitely plays a factor on fatigue. But that being said, man, as long as you're recovering from it, I think that's a good approach. Yeah, definitely. Yusuf, hey coach, hope you're good. I'm doing well. Thanks, Yusuf. Same to you. I'm training for a 42-minute 10 kilometer. What can I do in my long runs to be more to be creative? What's the types of long runs I need to do? Well, I mean, if you've been watching a lot of my videos, I do think that the faster sprinkling in some VO2 max efforts, sprinkling in some very easy, relaxed efforts in there as well, so that you're recovering, um, and not just running hard all the time in your long runs either. Because there's only so much you can do in terms of pushing your body hard anaerobically, but um, and getting to a 42:30 10K is very competitive. So congrats on going after that type of time. You said I'm at 44 minutes, 10K now. This 10K is in 2 months from now. Yeah, you have plenty of time. The fact that you've built a strong base um, of mileage, and you're not just jumping into your training. I think that's a great approach. But I think in terms of long runs, first make sure, because I do preach that faster, very paced long run approach, but you definitely want to spend, and I'm sure you probably already have, but at least 4 to 5 weeks of easy, relaxed long runs and just building that base before you start thinking about those types of efforts, because it is, in my opinion, it's the hardest workout. It's the hardest workout I do. I sprint training, extremely hard. Obviously, doing hill repetitions, extremely hard. But when you're running fast for 16 kilometers or longer, out to 32, 35, 40K, and you're not just running easy and relaxed for that period of time. It's already hard enough to run easy for that many miles or kilometers, but it is so hard both mentally as well as physiologically to run that long and sprinkling in different intensities throughout the long run. So I think in your approach, I think just every other weekend, spend, even, I've done this in a lot of my long runs where I would run, it would be like a 20 mile or 20 mile, but like 32K. And I would run 20 to 30-second reps in the middle of that long run, where I would sprint for 30 seconds and then I would jog for 2 minutes, and I would sprint for 30 seconds, jog for 2 minutes. And I would do those types of shorter, really intense reps where it's more at VO2 max effort, like I mentioned. And then sometimes, you run easy the next weekend, always relax, recover. Then the following weekend, it might be like doing the same type of long run. If you're working your way up and you've gotten up to around 32K or 20 miles, it might be like 2 miles easy, then like 15 miles steady, at around 20 seconds slower than goal marathon race pace. So still very aggressive running, but just a steady effort. Okay. So there's different types of long runs you want to be doing. 8 weeks, you're still, with the fact that it's a 10K. If it was a marathon, I'd be like 8 weeks. Really, you're not going to really be in the best of shape in a matter of 8 weeks because it's really crunched amount of time. But with a 10K, 2 months time frame, if you're working on your speed, training on the track, you're really working at VO2 max effort, getting those AT runs in, doing the long runs, you'll be fine. So, hey, happy Easter to you too, Torin. I appreciate that. He is definitely risen. Oh, my mom's on here. Good to see you, Mom. Torin, happy Easter. Recently, I've started to feel some for numbness and Achilles tightness while running. I haven't switched shoes or changed intensity. Any thoughts on how to mitigate this? Make sure that you're icing, of course. I would warm the muscle prior to running. Continue to monitor it for sure, because I've had Achilles tendonitis. I've had Achilles tightness several times over the years. Dealt with that heavily. Achilles tightness and calf soreness. My recommendation for sure is definitely, like I mentioned, continue to monitor it. Don't continue to run on it if it gets worse, because it's going to feel like, the tighter it gets, it's going to feel like a rubber band, sort of like that's the best way I can explain it. It's just real tight. You can continue to run on that, but if it gets to the point where it's becoming so painful, I wouldn't. The better option is just take 2 weeks off completely. Continue to, in terms of self-remedy, icing, mixture of icing and warmth, compression. As I mentioned, that compression device on the community tab of the YouTube channel, highly recommend that device. I just got it. I've known about those things for several years. I never got one. I wish I would have invested in one of those when I was in high school and college when I was competing. But I've been using those things for about an hour each day. You can program the amount of time, but that compression on your joints and on your muscles will help you to recover. But yeah, I would just continue to monitor that, Torin. And like I mentioned, don't continue to run through it if it becomes so painful. Pull running is great because, again, it's probably the best remedy if you want to still get a similar type of workout in. That's the closest thing to land running is pull running. You can do that, get in the deep end of the pool. It's practically the same as land running, because again, the water pressure and forcing yourself to pump your arms to keep yourself afloat. That's a great remedy. Aside from that, just don't, just continue to monitor it, and warmth before the workout, ice afterward. Yusuf, okay, yep. Torn tightness in my, numbness in my feet. Yeah, that's another thing. It just, yeah, my pleasure, Isaac. Torn, yeah, numbness in your feet too. That's another thing. It's just, like I mentioned, those compression devices help a ton too. So don't know if that answered your question, but I hope that's helpful. Let's see, Edward, benefits of doing a medium distance run before a long run. Example, 10 miles easy run followed by a 20 miler. Yeah, absolutely. I do that all the time. Yeah, I mean, today did a 4 miler yesterday, just a shakeout run because I didn't get out to run till late in the evening. I was putting together some furniture. It took a while to put together, but some drawers actually for the bedroom. But um, yeah, that's normal. I've done that's totally fine. Doing like a 10 miler, no problem, as long as it's relaxed, and then and maybe doing some strides, and then the next morning do the 20 miler. Yeah, that's fine. Absolutely. Hey, Naflati, Naf, Naf, hopefully I pronounced that right. Nafati. Do we can stay running at peak all year? Uh, I don't believe so. I at least I think just about every athlete, regardless of what their capability level is, it's very hard to stay at peak shape throughout the year. You can stay in phenomenal physiological shape in terms of general fitness throughout the year, but staying at peak shape at your absolute best physical shape throughout the year, I don't think that's realistic. I think there is a point where you do want to take some breaks. You want to make sure that you're recovering, but doing it throughout the year and staying at peak shape throughout the year, tough to do. Just my opinion, though. Ethan, I'm almost at a sub 10 32 minute as a 10th grader. Well done, Ethan. Very well done. I just want to know, is there a negative to running my shakeout recovery warm up runs too slow? Because sometimes I run. No, there is no shame in doing that, Ethan. There's a time to run slow and there's a time to run fast. Okay. And I mean, I train with guys that could guys that could go well under 9 minutes for 3,200 meters that would jog at 9 minute mile pace, like you mentioned, on their easy days. These are elite Kenyans. Guys that could go around 8:20 to 8:30 for 3,200 meters. So just remember that, you definitely want to make sure your stress and energy systems when you're training hard, but also have that same discipline that you have to race fast, which you already are capable of as a 10th grader. Man, my best time as a 10th grader was 10:38. So very well done. That is awesome. But no, making sure that you're slowing down. No, you're not going to lose any fitness during that. No, you would lose fitness if you took like 2 weeks off. Okay, but running slow on recovery days, that's what they're meant for. They are meant to run. Sometimes the problem is a lot of us, when you're so driven and you're motivated to get fit and you really want to race fast, you get in that mindset of, I got to keep running fast all the time, or I don't, if I'm running too slow, am I going to get out of shape, or am I not going to be prepared? Take those easy days, make sure you're jogging, and then definitely when the hard days come, you want to make sure that you're really making the training the hardest part of your preparation. Okay, when you go to race, that is the time to be excited. It's not to be stressed out. Let your competition stress out, not you, but slow down on those recovery days. Okay, some of the best runners I've trained with over the years, far better than me, knew how to slow down and chill out on those recovery days. So, and great job, man. You're just definitely keep in touch. Leave comments, jump on the streams, leave comments under any of my videos, and let me know how your season's going. But yeah, you're off to a great start, definitely, for only being a sophomore. Torin, thank you. Also, congrats to your Boilermaker. Forward to watching them play in the Final Four. Oh yeah. I was fortunate to go to Purdue. It was a great school, and finished their MBA program in 2018. It was an 18-month program, but yeah, the school was great, and they're doing great in the Final Four. That's for sure. Hope they make it. Hey, Lucas, shin splint recovery tips. Like I mentioned before, shin splints, I've had it once in my career. I hope to never have it again, ever. But since I started running in 1992 all the way up to now, I've had it once, and it was not fun. Again, it's similar to Achilles tendonitis or any type of sore muscle. Make sure that you're warming your shins prior to the start of your workouts, and you're icing afterward. And then compression, like I said, those compression devices are great. If you go to the community tab on the YouTube channel, I left a little blurb about those with a link on there if you want to check it out. But yeah, those, it's an investment. So the one I got is about it's about 300. Well, it's about 400 now, but I got it for $300. But there's different brands. So there's some brands you can get for like $100, 100 US, or I don't know what that is in pounds or wherever you are in the world. But definitely one of the very best investments in terms of recovery. If you have shin splints, that compression, it really compresses in that area as well. So hope that helps. Hey, Philip, how long can it take to move from 19 minutes to 15 minutes in the 5K while following a training plan that goes up to 60 kilometers a week? Great question. It's tough to answer a question like that because, again, there's so many factors that go into dropping that amount of time. Obviously, there's a lot of athletes out there that can do that type of jump, that can go from 19 to 15. That's a major jump in training. But I don't place limits on runners. I never placed them on myself, so I don't think that that's an impossible goal. I do think that you're thinking about 15 minutes, so I think that's about 450 per mile. So yeah, you're definitely going to have to. I don't know where okay, let's see. You're at 19 minutes now, and yeah, you will have to spend. You can still spend some time throughout your training week, even as a 19-minute 5K athlete, running at 15-minute 5K pace. It might just be for repeat 200s on the track or repeat 300s. Get accustomed to what that pace feels like. Continue to build your volume, continue to build your stamina, endurance. To make that kind of drop, though, I mean, you got to be thinking more toward, a couple of years to several years. It's not going to happen in a matter of 4 months, in my opinion. I mean, that's a massive jump in ability. But with that type of volume, 60 kilometers a week, I think that's a reasonable amount because it's a 5K. You're not training for a marathon. You don't necessarily need a high amount of volume. It's still a legitimate amount of volume, but you don't need massive amounts of mileage to run that. But you do need to spend some time each week and really start visualizing yourself doing this, because to do that, to make that type of jump from 19 to 15, it has to start here first. And that's the problem. Most of us, we always focus on physical training, and very rarely do athletes spend as much time on visualization, mental rehearsal, really visualizing themselves doing something that right now might not seem possible for them. Okay, so I'm a big believer in that. I remember when I was a 243 marathoner trying to get to 220, under 222, I'd always visualize myself getting across the finish line, seeing 221.59 on the clock. And I really credit that to getting under 220. And the same with athletes trying to run faster, regardless of 800 meter, 400 meter, 15, 5K in your case. You've got to start training physically or mentally as well. So start implementing at least 10 to 15 minutes, maybe prior to going to bed at night or getting up in the morning. Just spend a few minutes seeing yourself really performing at a level that you're dreaming about, you're really thinking about. But that's the types of mindset you have to get into, because you're really going after, you're already very competitive at 19 minutes. But going down to 15-minute level, you're talking about some serious heavy work that's going to be involved, and it's probably going to take several years to get there. It might be you could do it in a year, but the reasonable amount of time I would say is between 2 and 3 years. Might be 4, but the key thing is you continue to stay on it and achieve that particular goal that you have in mind. It's the athletes that keep training hard and then they either quit or they take too much time off. You got to stay consistent with it and you'll get there. Hey, Ryan. Hi, coach. Greetings from New Zealand. Oh, wow. Nice. I'm 16, trying to break 126.5 at the end of the year. What fueling strategies do you recommend in the speed workouts, long runs I should be doing? Wow. Okay. So you're 16 years old and you're running a half marathon. That's awesome. Very well done. I think that's Yeah, here in America, a lot of Americans think that. Well, I mean, still a lot of athletes start running half marathons and longer races like in their mid 20s or you know early 20s to mid 20s. Uh, I don't think I ran my first half marathon until I was in. I was definitely. I remember I ran 113 in college, and that was what 22, 23. So awesome. But in terms of fueling strategies, I would make sure that you start dropping water bottles out during your long runs every 3 miles or every 5 kilometers during your long run route, and practice drinking, practice taking in more fluids. Um, Also, ingesting some gels because again, getting used to that routine and training is going to make you better prepared for when you actually go to race. Okay. I think if you try to run a half marathon and you're not taking in enough fluid and you're not taking enough calories in that race, that can really screw you up in terms of running a half marathon. And make sure that you're, in terms of your energy expenditure, that you're not going out too fast. Negative split that race if you can. Um, at the end of the year, hopefully you got a really flat course, great competition. And like I mentioned in other videos and other streams, just run the tangents. Don't try to run any further than you need to in the race. You're still extremely young at 16. So, and trying to break 126, that's very competitive time, very, very competitive. Uh, but again, you're starting off very young. I wish I would have considered doing that, running at that distance at 16. But again, every culture is different. I know how Kiwis do it, but awesome job. But yeah, that's what I would be doing. I would really get in the habit of practicing dropping those water bottles out, dropping maybe a couple gels throughout that long run as well next to your water bottles, and practice drinking and get in that habit of drinking more, testing out how much your stomach can handle in terms of fluid. That way, when you get to the race, you've practiced that over and over again, and then you've gotten in the habit of actually drinking more and you have a better idea of how much your stomach can withstand in terms of a mixture of both fluids, might be water, Powerade, and also taking in a few of those gels. I would probably take between probably about 3 gels throughout a half marathon, maybe like mile 4, mile 9, and like mile 11, right before the last couple miles of the race, last few Ks of the race. Um, that's what I would do. Hope that helps, Ryan. Hey, Lucas, what were some strategies you used to get completely locked in a race mentally, especially when you're going for a big time? Yeah, I always was thinking ahead in terms of when I was in high school, trying to, and goal setting was also very important. So I think that you have to make your short-term goals. You have to make long-term goals. Like when I was in high school, I had goals of trying to get under 4 minutes for 1,600 meters. I clearly didn't have that type of speed, but the mistake I was making, I was trying to go way too fast in the early stages of my races. Um, but you have to learn. Okay, this is the way it goes in the sport. Um, it's the key thing is not to continue to make the same mistakes. But in terms of locking in mentally, I mean, I was always, like I mentioned, visualization was always a part of my preparation, even when I first started running as a freshman in high school, all the way up to now. I still visualize seeing myself perform at high levels. Um, Really making training extremely hard, jogging, really backing off on easy days. But in terms of going after those big times, examples of when I was trying to get under 222 for the marathon, I had a 10-month block of time when I reported to the U.S. Army World Class Athlete Program. And if you check this coming Friday's video, it's going to be on. There was a question that somebody in the military asked me. They said, "How can I run faster in the military?" Watch that video because I really go into detail about some of the things that I was dealing with, working a full-time military job, and then trying to run at very high levels. Like I mentioned, you really have to decide how badly you want what you want. Okay. You have to decide what is that why, what is getting you out the door. And no matter how many challenges your job or other things in your life, maybe you're in school, maybe you have kids, or other things throw at you, you have to still decide how badly you're going to go after this goal. Because I mean, you can be lukewarm, you can be motivated, but you have to be absolutely locked in and zeroed in and confident in what you're doing. And I always had that trait. I didn't have a great deal of physiological talent, but I did have work ethic. Okay. And I know if you're lacking talent, you can make up for it with work ethic. Okay. I mean, I looking back at high school, I mean, I did have some capability, but that capability to run at higher levels was because I was putting in consistent work over several years, several decades. And I think that's something we all, regardless of ability level, you have to continue to remind yourself that, hey, this may take what I'm going after may take several years. Am I willing to put in that type of work for this amount of time? You know, because it's natural for people to want to quit and move on to other things in life. I mean, I've had friends over the years when I was in high school and college that had enormous capability as runners, running way faster times than I ran in high school and college. Um, but they found other things in life, you know, where I continue to train and continue to enjoy what I was doing. And that's the thing. Don't lose enthusiasm for what you're doing. And that's kind of my, I hope that answers the question, Lucas, but that's really how in terms of, you know, getting locked in and really mentally focusing on what I wanted to do. I knew I was going to have to put in a heavy amount of work to get to the types of times I wanted based on my physiological capability. You know, remember, a lot of you may not know my story, but I mean, I was a 5:30, 1600-meter athlete the first time I ran it in high school. That doesn't really, a 5:30, 1600 doesn't equate to a 2:19 marathon. It doesn't equate to a 14:18 5K. Those types of times happen several years down the line. So it's just a matter of consistent action, regardless of what your times, whatever types of efforts, goals you have for yourself. You got to think long term, because this is a sport where it's just not going to happen overnight. So I hope that answers your question, Lucas. Let's see here. I'm trying to keep up with questions here. Lucas Bredo, I'm injured, but I still cross train every single day, sometimes 2 times a day. How much fitness will I lose? Again, tough question to answer. I mean, you're not going to lose a great deal of fitness if you're still cross training every single day. I would recommend making sure that you just continue to monitor how you're feeling in terms, if you're still injured. The best remedy is just to take a week off, man. You know, and I know it's not the easiest answer, because it's natural. We want to continue to train hard. But if you're, just monitor how you're feeling, you know, and if you need to take a day off, train for a couple days, take a day off, but continuing to cross train every single day, and you're still injured, just continue to monitor that. But you're not going to lose any fitness by doing that. You're still obviously in great shape if you're able to do that. So, hey, Patty, is it okay if the weekly long run is very hilly, or would it be smarter to keep it flat in order to stay in zone 2? Now, I think it's good to alternate both hillier type long runs, flat long runs, and not just getting in the habit of just running flat all the time. But obviously, if you're running on flat, it is a little bit easier to stay in zone 2. If you're running on hillier terrain, it's much more of a, your heart rate will go up, and it's a little bit more strenuous on the body, more inflammation. But again, I think it's okay to run, doing your weekly long runs over hilly terrain. Just don't do it every single weekend. So, hey, Matilda LB, I gained muscle during marathon training and feel like it's making me slower. Is this normal? I don't think if you gain muscle during marathon training, if you're gaining muscle and you're losing fat, I think you're gonna be fine. I mean, you want to be strong for that race. I've trained with some really great marathon runners that were just stronger, had more muscle, and they don't look like, Kenyan or, smaller athletes, like these really tiny Europeans or Kenyans or other athletes around the world, that you don't have to be very small to run a very fast marathon time. Again, it's about proper training. It's not just about, runners, we all come in different, physiological capabilities and how our bodies are built. But if you're gaining muscle, that's okay. If you're running and you feel like it's making you slower, it's I don't think it's going to. I think more than anything, you just have to watch how hard you're running and how much uh, hard training that you're doing. If you're in the gym like twice a week and you feel like you're gaining muscle that way, I would bring it down to once per week. I've known world-class runners that didn't really even lift weights. I mean, they did push-ups and sit-ups, but they didn't lift weights. Most of the Kenyans I've trained with just do push-ups and sit-ups. That's it. So just think about like how you're setting up your training throughout the week. I mean, if you are doing some strength training, don't overdo it, but in terms of the marathon training, yeah, you're naturally going to build more muscle. The fitter you get, you're going to burn up fat. But if you're heavier, it does play on you mentally. But in time, if you're recovering well, if you're jogging on recovery days and you're really pushing yourself properly, you're going to get faster. It's just a matter of time. Hey, Elvis, Kenneth Miguel, how long or how far should I do my race pace workout for 21K and 42K? Every athlete's different. I think that athletes that are trained for the half marathon or marathon, if you're trained for a half, at least I'm just basing my answer on my own experience. I think that if you're training for a half marathon, getting out to around 15 to 16 miles is sufficient. If you're training for a marathon, I think anywhere from around 18 to 23 miles is more than enough. I've done 26, 27, 28, 30 mile. I did a 30-mile long run one time. It didn't give me any more benefit than a 20-miler did. So I think there is a point of diminished return. So be smart with the length of the training, but that's my answer. I think between around 15 to 16 miles, if you're training for a half, getting a little bit further than the half marathon distance, both will help you mentally as well. Because again, you'll know in training that I've run further than this race. I've done several runs further than the half marathon distance, and that'll help you mentally as well. For the marathon, getting out to around 20, 23, 24 miles, I think that's good. Yeah. Hey, Edward, Imodium for marathons. I always have to use the bathroom. Yeah. In terms of the marathon, I would recommend definitely, if you're going to run the marathon, and I've experienced that one time in my career, the 2011 Monumental Indianapolis Marathon. I was running with the leaders of that race. I was probably about as fit as I ever was in my life, even fitter than I was going in the running 219. And I had to jump in a porta-john at mile 17 of that race, and literally spent the remainder of the race trying to chase down the leaders. I ended up finishing fifth in 2:26:42, but I lost several minutes because of that. And I think that morning, I ate my breakfast around an hour and a half prior to start, hour and a half to 2 hours, which in most cases is enough. My recommendation is to eat your breakfast 3 hours prior to the start of your marathon. That way you have plenty of time to get rid of that waste and then be set up for success in the race and not have to deal with that. I don't want any athlete to have to experience that experience, because you've worked so hard. And if you lose an enormous amount of time, then you're caught, after the race, you're caught like crap. What is the real legit time I would have ran if that didn't happen? So 3 hours prior to the start. Hey, Karthik, VO2 marathon pace estimate 7:28 based on recent half marathon race. HVBN doing specific workouts at that pace for the last 1 month. One more month at this for the race. Is there a way to assert I'm in 7:28 shape? 7:28 shape based on recent half marathon VO2 marathon. Okay, 7:20. Okay, gotcha. Is there a way to assert I'm in 7:28 pace? I think if I was in your current situation, you're obviously in great shape if you're able to hold that. Um, I would do some time trials leading into the marathon just to give you an estimate how fit you are. If you can do like try doing a 16K run, 10-mile run at 728 at 28 per mile pace and see how that feels. Or doing 10 miles, 16K at say like 10 mile pace. So 18 seconds faster than your marathon pace. Spending some time, if you can branch that out, doing some time trials, giving you an estimate of how fit you are, and if that feels relatively comfortable for that distance, I think you'll definitely be ready to go in your upcoming marathon. One more month before the race. Is there a way to assert? Yeah, one more month. I would definitely do a 10-mile effort at around 710 to 715 mile pace. You have 4 weeks, so that's okay. You have enough time to recover from that. If it was like 2 weeks out, I would say not to do that because that's pretty close to the race. But 4 weeks out is good. That's what I would do. I mean, again, there's so many what ifs, and again, it's just my opinion, but that's what I would do if I was you. 4 weeks out of the race, get a nice, solid, hard 10-miler in, time trial in, make sure you're in racing flats, in the racing shoes you're going to race in the marathon. Get on a flat paved road if you can, and lock in for 16K and try to hold well, about 15 seconds faster than race pace. And if you're feeling off, try to run right at 728 pace. Again, it's the effort that counts the most. You want to get through that workout, but if you feel reasonably in control for that race, I think you're going to be good. Ryan, hey coach, I ran my first half marathon at 13, completing 4 so far, and found taking gels are quite difficult for me. Are there any specific gel brands you would recommend that aren't too thick? Shoot, what is there's so many different brands of gels, but I can't think of any offhand, but good question here. I mean, my best advice is just to invest in several different. Get on Amazon, check out different gel brands, and see how they test them out in training. Set a couple out during your long runs and try different brands and see which ones work the best for you. I mean, again, I don't have any specific ones that I can think of offhand. But if the ones you've been using in the past haven't been working for you, obviously continue to try different types, different brands, and you're definitely going to land on the right one. So, yeah, I wish you the best, man. Running a half marathon at age 13. Wow. You guys and gals are amazing. Some of the things that you athletes are doing, running these longer distances at such a young age, man, just believe me, your best racing is decades from now, especially when it comes to the marathon. I mean, I didn't run my PRs until I was 31 for the half marathon and marathon. So, and didn't start running those particular distances until I was 23 to 25 years old. So you have plenty of time, Ryan. So great job, man. Hey, Hagos, good to see you here, man. Hope everything's going well. Do or die. Hey, man, good to see you. Love the Lambo pick. Yeah, back in the day. Yeah, great to see Brockdro at the sub. What do you think is his best distance? Man, great question. Brock he's really turning it on. He ran the types of times he's running right now. I knew he was going to drop those types of times. I remember watching him run in high school as a freshman and a senior year in the 3,200. He ran 9:28 for 3,200 at his the Pennsylvania State meet and took fourth. He's improved this year. I think his best distance, in the future will be the marathon, without a doubt. I mean, he's already mentioned to me that, focusing on those longer races after college. But right now, like this coming weekend, next weekend, he's trying to improve on his 1500-meter PR, right, which right now is 4:02. And he wants to run between 3:56 and 3:57, and he's definitely in that shape. Running 14:55 for 5,000 recently, just yesterday, and then last week he PR'd in the 800, ran a 1:57. And again, his strength is, I mean, he's got a lot of, he can run fast at really any distance. I think he's run 53 for 400 meters, 157 for the 8, 402 for 1500, 1455. Yeah, we've talked about it, like, thinking about the future and stuff. And he's mentioned to me the marathon, and even when he was 15, he ran the Army 10 miler with me and ran 58. I think it was 58:31 when he was 15 years old for 10 miles on the road. I think that was his first real major road race. So yeah, I appreciate you giving the props for Brock. I'm real proud of the guy. It's great to see him doing those things, and he's doing good in school. Just a well-rounded, really great kid. So, hey Tyler, hey, when I raced the 800 all out, I finished the race without lactic acid in my legs. Most people I talk to don't have this happen, and I feel like I'm limited by my energy rather than muscles. Is this bad? Again, great question, man. I think when you're racing the all out in the 800 and you don't feel like you're not building up a lot of lactic acid, I mean, as long as the exertion is there and you feel like you're absolutely shot at the end of the 800, you did the very best you could. I mean, everybody has different pain levels. There's some athletes that can run really fast 800 times, really fast over longer distances, and they don't really build up a large amount of lactic acid. Obviously, they're extremely tired, but if you were to, if you were to test their blood levels and their blood lactate levels, it would probably be down like around like 2 to 4 milliliters, millimoles. Usually, when you're racing all out, you're maxing out at that. So I don't think you're limited in any way by that. It's that exertion level that you want, and making sure that you're training hard enough and you're making training the most challenging aspect of your preparation. And then when you get to race, you're still going all out, but you're definitely you're in that zone state. But I don't think you're limited in any way by that. I don't know if that answers your question, but I just think you got to just continue to, the main thing is to continue to goal set, short-term goals, long-term goals, continue to train hard enough to go after those specific times. And the specifics in terms of physiological specifics like lactic acid and is my VO2 max high enough to get to the level I want. VO2 max, a lot of people talk about that, but that's just one aspect of running success. It's really the biggest factor of running success is longevity and sticking to what you want to do and finding some enjoyment in this sport for a long enough period of time, which in most cases it does. Like I mentioned before, it takes several years to do this, as you all know. It's not something overnight. So if you continue to do that, you'll be fine, Tyler. Hey, Mark, good to see you. Hi, Coach. I recently ran a 121 at the New York Half, a hilly course. Great job, man. Great job, Mark. What do you think are the best workouts to do in the next 7 weeks before my next half on a flat course? I want to break 120. Yeah, you're definitely capable of breaking 120 on a flat course. New York I ran the marathon there in 2002, and I still remember it is one of the hardest. And the New York City Half, from what I heard too, is extremely hilly. I think getting you're already in phenomenal shape if you're around 126 or 121.26. So I don't really think you really need to make major changes in your training. I would do some 8K to around 14 to around 15K tempo runs. Get that tempo out to close to around 10 miles, but not quite at 120 pace, but slightly slower, but branch that out. Obviously getting on the track 16 times 400 meters at around 110 to 112 half marathon pace. Okay. I mean, you can do that for even in your type of fitness level, you could probably handle that for 400-meter reps, running much, much faster than 120. So again, you want to get that goal race pace of 120, sub 120 to feel easier for you. Stay consistent with those long runs. I don't think you have to make major gains, major changes, just some maintenance, continue to work on your speed. 16 fours, 10 times 1K, some of the top workouts. I mean, I like progression runs where you start off at, like around like 630 mile pace, and you do like a 10-mile run, 630, 620, 610, 6-minute, 550, 540. You keep dropping the pace down. So doing some progression runs, I think is good too, just to keep things interesting and not just on just running easy. Obviously, still run easy. Make sure you're jogging on recovery days. Make sure you're able to recover from what you're throwing at yourself, because you're already getting to a level mark that not a lot of runners really achieve. I mean, you're really going after some really fast times there, man. So great job on dropping that type of time on the New York City half. That's Where's the if you don't mind me asking, Mark, where's the flat course? What flat course are you racing at? Is it here in the States or in Europe? Hey, Stuart, just ran 128. Oh, okay. It's the, let me see here. Yeah, that icon is throwing me off here. Thanks so much. It is the Brooks, I think maybe the Brooks half, you're saying? Brooklyn half. Okay. Yeah. No, I think you're definitely on it for breaking 120. Make sure that you negative split that race. Do the best you can. As I mentioned before, in the next few weeks, make sure you're training well below sub 120 pace, so that again, it becomes that pace feels more like a joke to you. I mean, because again, you've spent some time, either on the track, doing some road intervals, running more toward 112, 115 range. Might just be for maybe just doing fartlek runs at like 2 to 3 minutes, 2 to 3 minute reps on the roads, running at 112 to 115 pace for 2 minutes, and then jogging for 2 minutes and doing 10 reps of that. Again, backing off pace, but again, running at paces that are, you already know you're not going to hold for the half right now. Maybe not now. It might be, a couple of years from now, you're at 112, 113 pace, 114 pace for the full marathon or full half. But spending some time training at those particular intensities is going to help that sub 120 to feel a lot easier for sure. Yeah. Yeah, my pleasure. Let's see. And Stuart just ran 128.37 half today. Congrats. 8 weeks out from a marathon on May on 50 miles. Is 310 a realistic goal? Yeah, I definitely think 310 is a realistic goal. Let me check. I want to look what that. Give me just a second here. 128.37 for a half. 128.37. Yeah, that 128.37 is equivalent. Now, again, the half marathon, major difference, but still gives you a good estimate. That's equivalent to a 3:04:51 for the marathon. So I think a 3:10 is definitely a reasonable goal, and you're still running a legit amount of mileage. 50 miles a week is solid. So yeah, I definitely think you're going to be, if you can drop that type of a half marathon time, and you have 8 weeks out, yeah, you definitely can get under 3:10 in my opinion. Definitely. Good luck for sure. Hey, Marion, Coach, what is the best way to build up for an 8K race in October? Currently running 410-kilometer pace. I want to get to 350K pace. I have 6+ months from now. How would you spend those 6 months? Love the videos. Thanks for your support, Marion. I think, yeah, you have 6 months. I would take the first 2 months and focus just basically on endurance, easy, relaxed aerobic mileage, strides 2 to 3 times per week, 5 to 6 100-meter strides 2 to 3 times per week during your base phase, and then transition from those 2 months of easy aerobic mileage, and then go into your a 16-month or 16-week buildup going into your 8K race. Now this is an 8K race. Okay, that's a marathon. It'd be a little different. But even for an 8K, a nice, solid, strong buildup of aerobic base mileage first, then start into specific type training where you're running at 8K race pace and then down toward your mild 3K race pace again. It's the same. It's really the same type of approach. Even if you're training for a 5-mile race or an 8-kilometer race or a marathon, you want to first focus on that foundation first, and then start training at paces that are, I think, running some shorter speed sessions first before you start trying to increase your volume. I think sometimes if we focus on the speed aspect of training first, but not a really long, like 10 times 1K on the track, or 6 1 mile or 6 1600-meter reps, that's a lot of volume. But if you can do like 8 400s or like 10 200s on the track, and do that once per week, again, a VO2 max workout, working on working on shorter speed workouts first, as well as building up your volume, I think is really going to help you, because again, it's over time, over a 3 to 4 week block of training. Again, the body takes about 3 weeks to a month to adapt to what you're throwing at it. So if you're providing a sufficient amount of time, in this case, you've got 6 months, you have plenty of time to go from 410 pace to 350 pace. That's plenty of time to do it. If you were trying to do it in 4 weeks, I'd say that's going to be difficult. That's going to be a rough 4 weeks to try to get to that particular fitness level in that short amount of time. But that's what I would do. Because I've noticed too, even in my own training, and some of the things that helped me over the years, focusing on some introductory speed sessions will eventually get your easy pace, not only your easy running pace to feel easier, and your splits to get faster at the same type of heart rate, same type of intensity. But I think just jumping into higher volume and not doing and just focusing on volume itself and not focusing on any type of speed. Again, every athlete's different, but I think that has a tendency to help athletes. At least, I mean, it's helped me too. I've always focusing on introductory speed sessions first, and then obviously as I got fitter, I would increase the reps, longer repetitions. And then I noticed too, my easy runs I would be running at much faster per K pace, per kilometer, or per mile pace. Everything felt easier. So hope that helps. Okay. Yeah, Mark, Brooklyn have great tips. We'll do. Yep. Good deal. Yeah, definitely reach back out to me, man, Mark. Let me know how it went. Yeah, I've heard the Brooklyn half is fast, so that you're going to have some great competition in that race. Hey, Marco, I failed in longest run yesterday before taper. It was 30 degrees in Belgrade. To repeat run, ignore it, and continue with plan or something else. I was satisfied with form. Do 32, 31:01 and 30 and 30K to March. Yeah, I mean, 30 degrees, man, that's chilly. It's going to definitely affect, if you're doing track workouts or you try to do a race, it will affect you. But let me see here. I failed in longest run yesterday for taper. It's 30 degrees and to repeat run, ignore it, and continue with plan. I would continue with the plan. I wouldn't change in terms of you're not going to lose any fitness if you have one bad, or if you had a planned long run and you were going after a specific pace during that long run and didn't go the way you wanted. I would just chalk it up as a workout, man. I mean, you're not going to lose any fitness for sure, but at the same time, it's still going to provide, a nice solid boost to your fitness, even if it didn't go quite the way you wanted. So again, at the end of the day, you've put in a huge amount of buildup for your race. You're obviously in phenomenal shape. And I would just move to the next one, man. Like I've talked about in other videos, the top runners I've trained with, world-class runners, they get over bad workouts, bad races very quickly. They're always on to the next workout, on to the next race. So don't dwell too much on what didn't go right in that specific workout. And remember, it's just a workout. It's just running, Hope that's helpful. Mark, yeah, that progression run, yeah, progression runs are great. This past week I hit 515 mile pace. Okay, 12 400s. So I'll up it. Yeah, 12 to 16 400s, Mark. Yeah, you're good to go, man. Just again, that spending some time running, working on your leg turnover, running at speeds that, are extremely aggressive, much faster than you plan on running in the half. Uh, it's a great approach, and it's just a great feeling when you've done that speed and you start noticing at the paces you're running in training are gradually getting faster, and you're not having to work as hard. Yeah. Hey Joshua, I'm trying to run zone 2 but have difficulty keeping my heart rate below 150 even at 11:30 12-minute mile pace. Okay. For context, I recently ran 133 for a half. Well done. Would you recommend running by heart rate or RPE? Um, I would focus more on, the heart rate monitors. I mean, I use them pretty regularly myself, and again, heart rate can drastically change based on the terrain you're running on, based on the temperatures outside. So sometimes you just want to go off of feel rather than heart rate. Okay, we don't want to get too. I'm not saying you're doing that, Joshua, but you don't want to get too overly focused on staying right. You know, always focusing on the heart rate. Okay, um, if you feel like trash and you just feel awful out there, I would cut the workout short, and it's much better, especially if you had a speed training workout or you had a tempo run and it just you're not hitting the splits and you just feel awful. It's much better to shut the workout down and then try the same workout maybe 2 days after, than to continue to try to run the pace and not really get much out of it. Uh, but yeah, I would focus on, again, every athlete's different. I think sometimes athletes do better with heart rate monitor training, and I do think there it is important, especially if you're focusing more on running at a specific heart rate over a specific pace. Sometimes you want to do that as well, but there are days where I think a better approach is just focusing on feel. And would you recommend running by heart rate? Yeah, that's what I would focus on feel first, and then as you get fitter, then heart rate's okay. But just remember, the heart rate is going to drastically be different. And some days it's way off. I mean, there's just days where you're jogging out there and you feel like, and you're running at like 165 and you feel like you're jogging and you're like, what the heck? What is going on? And then there's other days where you're running at like 132, 134, running at the same paces. So do or die, man. Coach sharing some info of my training for 10K race in 16 weeks. 10 1200s at 12 at 200 430 mile pace. Okay, I like it. 4 times 1K at 535 mile pace, followed by 1830 5K long run. Long run's 50 miles, goals 36 minutes, age 50. Yeah, you're fit, do or die. You're in phenomenal shape, man. Those are the types of workouts I would be personally be aiming for too. Those types of sprinkling in some 200s at well below goal race pace, 430 pace, dropping some Ks. Yep. Long runs, real strong long runs. Yeah, you're definitely moving into sub 36-minute shape for sure. And well done dropping 37:55, man, at 50. That's awesome. So yeah, that's a lesson to all of you that are in your 20s or 30s here or 40s here on the stream. You can still run fast. This is an example, do or die dropping 37:55 at 50. Well done. Yeah, Morant. Yeah, that's I would work on again, and there's pros and cons to this. Is not just like this is just my opinion, but I think there's sometimes first sprinkling in a little bit of speed work first, and then gradually adding in the mileage rather than just starting off with mileage and then jumping into speed later. There's pros and cons to both of them, and I've seen athletes do better with volume first and then speed, and then other athletes speed first and then volume. So yeah. Hey Lewis, I run a 2 flat 800. Okay, nice. What is the time range I could run for the mile as I progress through the season? 2 minutes for an 800. Give me just a second here. Let's see, 800 meters in 2 minutes. I just want to give you an indication of, yeah, that's too flat. So yeah, I think that, let me see your question. I run at 200. What is the time range I could run for the mile as I progress through the season? Yeah, I think that it's hard to give an exact estimation of what you're capable of. I mean, I don't, like I mentioned before, I don't place any limits on athletes, but I think that if you can run a two flat 800, um, the running the mile probably around 430, maybe just under 430. I mean, I've seen again, I've seen athletes that can run two flat. I mean, I ran two flat for 800 in high school myself, and I ran 425 for 1600 meters. So just to give you, it's just an example. Definitely under 430 for sure. I think for the mile, will give you a good indication. Definitely in the 430s range or sub 430. Yeah, definitely keep up the great work, man. That's a two flat 800 is not easy to achieve. Yeah, you're welcome, Joshua. Hey, Joey Jojo, I like the name Shabadoo. Okay, greetings from Ireland. Racer ran 2013 5K. Nice, without following a plan. All right. If I was to follow a structured plan for 8 to 12 weeks with sub, yeah, absolutely, yeah. If you drop the 2013 5K without any type of guidance, any type of plan whatsoever, um, definitely you're capable of going well under sub 19 for a 5K. I mean, it's not going to be easy. It's still, you're dropping a minute and a minute and 14 seconds to run 19:59 or 18:59. Um, but I think that a structured plan, yeah, 12 weeks for sure, minimum 12 weeks, 12 to 16 weeks. I think you can still get it done in 8 to 12, but yeah, I think you're well capable of going under 19 minutes. And who knows? I mean, like I said, depending on how long you've been training, you can get under probably 17, 18 minutes. Just a matter of consistent action over a long period of time. You know, so yeah, you're on it. Have you found any parallels from your past in the army in regards to mindset and how to approach training mentally and discipline? Hey, yeah, do or die. I don't know if you were on the stream earlier, but I just made a video about there was somebody that's a current military member that asked me to make a video about mindset, how to approach training in the military, and it'll be launched on Friday, where I cover that exact question. But I think that some of the things I was discussing in the video is just you really have to prioritize your time because the Army doesn't care if you want to run at the elite level or you want to drop weight. Well, they care in that sense in terms of physical training, but they don't care you're trying to go after a Boston Marathon qualifier or anything like that. It's really it comes down to your work ethic. And in the military, military work weeks are challenging, just like a civilian work week. It's similar, but when you're going out to the field and you're deploying to war zones, things like that, you really have to compartmentalize your time. And I like that quote by Dr. Joe Vigil. It mentioned that there's 24 hours in a day. If you have a certain amount of things you got to get done throughout the day, then you have to just compartmentalize and get it all done. If it's running 10 to 15 miles prior to the start of your workday, then get it done before work. I had so many, as I mentioned in the video, times where we had field training problems where we were out in the field for a week or two, and I'm trying to train for a marathon, and I'm trying not to lose any fitness and trying to stay focused on the workouts. And there's times where it was just up to me, man. I didn't, I wasn't going to get it done. I mean, I wasn't, if I didn't put in the work, regardless of what type of uh, situation I was under, then it just wasn't going to happen. So, yeah, definitely check out this coming Friday's video. I think you'll enjoy it. Hey, Max, love your videos. I'm currently training for a sub 255 marathon, but I had to take about a week off last week for injury. Any tips for returning after the time off? 12 weeks out from my marathon and was running 55 to 60 miles per week. Okay, good, 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 good. Yeah, great job, man. And for a sub 255, that is, in my opinion, that's an elite time. Anything under 3 hours, you've got to be in phenomenal shape. So well done going after this type of time. Um, you're not going to lose any fitness with a week off. Hopefully everything's smoothing out. And you're in terms of, you mentioned you were injured. Hopefully you're not having the same type of issues. Good news is again, with a week off, you're not going to lose any fitness. I would just continue to do what you have been doing, and don't do the very best you can. I know it's not going to be easy, but don't think about like, well, I had to take a week off, and because of the injury. Don't dwell too much on that. The week's off. The week away from the training is done now. Now is focus time, man. The next 12 weeks, you continue to train at paces that are under that pace, under that sub 255 marathon pace. Let me see. Let's see something else here. Marathon 254, 254.59. So yeah, 640 mile pace, 409K pace. So spending some time running around 340K pace, running around 6-minute mile pace or under in training. Continue to, again, relax on those recovery days. Make sure that you're recovering, hydrating well, getting enough sleep, mental rehearsal. I can't preach that enough. Mental rehearsal. See yourself getting across that finish line in 254.59. That is key. But I think that you're definitely on pace to do it, Max. I don't think that you're continue to obviously take care of whatever ailment that you had to deal with, sore muscle, tendon, things like that. And you're going to be fine, man. I think you're well on your way to doing it. Hopefully you've picked which I'm sure you have, picked a fast course, a flat course. I always say fast, but man, there's no course that's actually fast, even if it's flat, if you're not in great shape. But it's like, well, I got to get on a flat course. Okay, well, the course is flat. Okay, there's no hills on it. Good. Have you done the work? Which I know you have, but yeah. Good luck to you. I hope you get it. Karthik, thank you for the suggestion to time trial 10 miles, 15 seconds faster than my marathon pace. Ran a half marathon, 15 seconds faster than a marathon pace 4 weeks ago. Is that good? Yeah, that's very good. 22 miler yesterday with last mile at 10 seconds faster than marathon. It was very hard, yes, and as it should be, but that is great. Just running 22 miles easy. In your case, I mean, you sprinkled in some faster efforts, but that's, just getting to the point where you can do 22 miles. First 21 miles at 30 seconds slower than marathon pace. Okay, yeah, you're definitely in great shape, Karthik. Yeah, I think it's an achievement too, just to get to a point where you can go 22 miles, even if it was easy. Yeah, definitely well done, man. Hey, Raj. Hey, Coach. Brilliant content as ever. Keep up the great work. Thanks for your support, Raj. Appreciate it. What would you suggest is the best sub-3 marathon pacing strategy? Great question, man. Like I talk about in other videos, I think it's important. I think it's critical to run a negative split. Most world records on especially the marathon, other events, track and field events, in most cases are set by negative split races or even split races where you're practically running just right on the same pace. But in terms of breaking 3 hours, it's not just the pacing. Like I said, I would definitely go out. I wouldn't go out if I was aiming for a sub 3. I wouldn't go out much faster than around probably about 134th through the first half, and then come back like a 125. And really, I think if you went out, say like 123 the first half, you're already at 246 marathon pace. That's much, much faster than your sub 3 goal. So I do think it's important to be a little bit more conservative, get out fast. You can practice, like I mentioned in other videos, you can practically sprint all out for 200 meters and not build up any lactic acid. So you do want to get out and then settle into your pace. do your best. And most of these big marathons, they have pacers. They do have sub 3 hour marathon pacing. Try to sit in that group and draft off those runners. Don't feel like you have to be in the front. If you can draft off some athletes, and even if there isn't a pacing group, if you get behind a group and they're running right around 6:52 mile pace or 4:16 kilometer pace, drafting off those runners, doing less work than you need to, is going to help you as well. But yeah, I don't think you need to. If it was me, 134, right around that, it's going to be hard to do that, especially if you're in phenomenal shape. It's going to be hard to hold back, is what I mean. And especially if you've done the proper training and you've done some heavy work at well below sub 3 hour marathon pace. Holding back in the first half marathon is hard mentally too. You see those runners taking off, but you have such a long way to go. So that's what I would do. I'd go like 134 and then aim for a negative split. It's a big negative split. And there's still, like I talked about before, there's times where you can still run a positive split, but just don't go overboard. Don't go out 122 through the first half and then be forced to slow down drastically in the second half. You know what I mean? So I hope that's helpful. Where are you aiming on running the sub 3 at? Do you have a goal race in mind? Yeah, my pleasure, dude. I appreciate that, man. You're stated in previous videos, we should keep a balanced approach to running, do it best. Yeah, man. That's what some of the coaches, some of my favorite, or the coaches that mentored me, they always just remind me, hey, it's just running at the end of the day. Don't beat yourself up too much over a couple of races. It's if you're trying to race fast, sometimes it's going to take several years to get to that, that flow state where everything is perfect, and it's the way it goes. I started running in 1992 and I got in that flow state in 2007. So 15 years later. Sure, there were other races, along the way where I was had some decent performances, but that was a case where running 5:19 mile pace for 26 miles felt like a long run, a moderate long run that day. I really didn't start to really hurt until the last 5 kilometers of that race, but it took 15 years of training to get to that point. So at the end of the day, it's just put in the work, whether it's good or bad. Each workout builds on itself, and you'll definitely get to the point where, in your case, getting under that goal of yours for the 10K, getting under 36 minutes, you're definitely underway, brother. Oh, London, Raj. Okay, good deal. London, 21st April, so 3 weeks out. First marathon after starting running 9 months or so ago. Okay, well, I'm glad you definitely picked a great marathon, Raj. That's those major races. I still have thought about that. Considering London, I've always wanted to run Berlin. Valencia is a great race. I know they've talked about moving that as a majors race. I think Valencia, they sold out of that race like really quick too. But London is super fast, so great. Hopefully you get some really good weather. You're definitely going to have some great competition there for sure. So definitely let me know how it went too. All right, team. Well, hey, I'm going to head out for the night, but I hope you all have a great evening, and happy Easter to all of you that celebrate that. And I will catch up with you guys all next week. Hope the videos this week are helpful. I think there are some good topics got some great questions from some other folks that wanted me to make some videos on their particular questions. So hope you guys enjoy them. So yeah, have a great evening and rest of your day wherever you are in the world. And I'll talk to you all next week. All right. You're welcome, Isaac. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you all jumping on.